How to roadmap your essay. Now here's some good news. The question provides the answer. Here's what I mean. The writing prompts that your teacher gives provide built-in directions on how to answer them. Let's examine some essay prompts from a History 337 class about the Middle East. Don't know anything about the Middle East? Doesn't matter. Here's the first one. Why did Nasserism emerge in the 1950s? Offer 3 reasons and analyze. So, after an introduction and thesis, which again rephrases the prompt using its key words, your outline would consist of the first reason Nasserism emerged in the 1950s, the second reason Nasserism emerged in the 1950s, the third reason Nasserism emerged in the 1950s, then your conclusion. Given this prompt, there really is only one form your outline could take. Now here's the third prompt. What role has nationalism played in the Palestinian-Israeli struggle over statehood? Select one decade and analyze nationalism's role. So in the introduction, you could state the decade along with your thesis. Then would come the first role that nationalism played in the Palestinian-Israeli struggle, the second role that nationalism played in the Palestinian-Israeli struggle, and the third role that nationalism played in the Palestinian-Israeli struggle. Wrap it up with a conclusion. In this fourth example, pay special attention to the last sentence. That's where the main prompt is. The first 2 sentences are background. The Iranian Revolution was a watershed in the history of the region. While religion played a prominent role, a united front of various groups played the key role in the overthrow of the Shah. And now, here's the real prompt. How did Khomeini supporters win this struggle for power by the early 1980s? After the introduction and thesis, you must list and discuss the ways that Khomeini supporters won the struggle for power in the 1980s. You really don't have any other choice. Your outline would be way number 1, that Khomeini supporters won the struggle for power, way number 2, that Khomeini supporters won the struggle for power, and way number 3, that Khomeini supporters won the struggle for power. Wrap it up with a conclusion. The fifth prompt. What were the primary causes of a more politicized Islam by the 1980s? Select 3 and analyze. Define politicized Islam in your response. So, in your introduction, you could define politicized Islam of the 1980s. Then would come the causes, one by one. The first cause of a politicized Islam, the second cause of a politicized Islam, the third cause of a politicized Islam. Conclusion. This sixth prompt is a 2-parter. What roles did the first Gulf War, Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s, play in dividing the region and why? How much of this division was denominational, Sunni versus Shia, ethno-cultural, Arab versus Persian, and ideological, secular versus religious? After the intro, you discuss the first way that the Gulf War divided the region, the second way the Gulf War divided the region, then the third way the first Gulf War divided the region. Along the way, you would identify whether the division is denominational, ethno-cultural, or ideological. The next prompt. How has the Kemalist, secularist, army-led state in Turkey been under siege over the last 20 years and why? Give 3 reasons and analyze. So after the intro come 2 main parts. In the first part, you have to convince the reader that the regime in Turkey has been under siege for 20 years. So you would describe the ways that the regime in Turkey has been under siege. Then you have to give the 3 reasons why it has been under siege. The first reason it has been under siege, the second reason it has been under siege, the third reason it has been under siege. Conclusion. The 8th prompt. What were the primary causes of the Arab Spring? Give 3 reasons and analyze. Well, by now you know the pattern. Introduction, cause number 1 of the Arab Spring, cause number 2 of the Arab Spring, cause number 3 of the Arab Spring, then the conclusion. The 9th prompt asks for something specific. How have the Syrian civil wars, notice the plural, influenced the region? Give 3 influences and analyze. You know what has to come. After the introduction and thesis come influence number 1 of the Syrian wars, influence number 2 of the Syrian wars, and influence number 3 of the Syrian wars on the region. In the last prompt, you deal with factors. What factors led to the rise of Daesh, ISIS? Give 3 and analyze. After the intro comes factor number 1 that led to the rise of Daesh, factor number 2 that led to the rise of Daesh, and factor number 3 that led to the rise of Daesh. Conclusion paragraph. Okay, now your first reaction to this method might be, but it's so mechanical. Yes, you are correct. But remember that all forms of writing have an underlying template, whether it's a Shakespearean sonnet with all of its strict rules, or a simple get well card. You see, it's what you put inside the template that counts and makes it individual. Second, think about the position your teacher is in, having to read and grade 20 to 30 of these essays in a limited time frame. Therefore, the clearer the structure of your response, the easier it will be for the teacher to see that you have addressed the question directly and logically. In other words, being a little mechanical serves a very important purpose. Finally, keep in mind that these are just suggestions on how to outline your response. The suggestions illustrate that when responding to these essay prompts, you should 1. Repeat key words from the prompt in your thesis statement. A good strategy for the thesis is to turn that prompt into a declarative sentence of your own. And 2. Try to find what the teacher wants you to list in the body of your essay. Is the prompt asking for a list of reasons, a list of causes, influences, factors, ways, whatevers? And don't be afraid to number them. Okay, good luck with your essay, and as always, let us in the Effective Writing Center know however we can help.